Hey mates, welcome to the Hitout. I'm your host, Phoenix Trinidad, and if you are new here, this is Zero Hangers Weekly AFL Podcast. And this week, we are joined by Cheets from Type Media. If you are in the AFL space online, in any algorithm, on TikTok, on Instagram, you will know who Type Media is. He's the guy that makes all the funny Simpsons memes. He's a really good chat. We did actually record a longer chat with him, which will be out later in the week, but this episode of the Hitout will be coming out first. So we talk about all the action from the round. We talk about Nathan Buckley. Is he the man for the D's job? We also talk about Brisbane and Collingwood. They're possibly sliding out of top four, but we'll see. And our Freo top four material, we'll see. We'll talk about that in this episode. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you aren't already, and let's get into it. Alrighty, so first thing on the round review, we'll start with the Brizzy Lions and Sydney Swans. I didn't actually catch this game, so can someone give me the spark notes of what happened in this game?
Yeah, well, hopefully, I think for those who watched the grand final last year, they would have thought this would be the game that they would have expected. Yeah. Obviously, we know what happened last year with the Lions claiming victory, I think, by 10 goals in the end. But 2-point margin, Swans got it done at Brisbane, which was pretty spectacular. But I think one thing it does open up is now another spot in the top four. So everyone thought Brisbane had that locked away. They got a hard run against Fremantle and Hawthorn to come. But with the loss against Sydney, they kind of puts them again in that running pack for, top four, top two spots. So kind of a bit, not of a good weekend for the Lions and their fans. And the Swans as well. I mean, huge from Heaney, huge from Warner. Sorry. But also just kind of shows what Cox can do when he's got the right players in. I think he's won 6 of the last 8 games since the bye. Obviously, a pretty poor start to the year, but it shows they've got plenty to work with going into next year. Seeing they're going to miss the finals. Yeah.
What's your vibe on the Swans this year? Because you follow pretty much every game, right?
Just for meme opportunities. Literally got a folder on every game. I don't sit in the dungeon and clip up games or anything like that. I don't do that.
Yeah.
But look, I think the Swans are a classic team of a new coach and maybe a little bit too defensive with the way they played. And also, it's tough when you've got your best user by foot, Errol Goulden, out for most of the year. I think people underestimate how good Goulden is. Incredible user. Heaney's really starting to hit his form as well. He started the season slow, which I think it's a coaching change and different structure and strategy. I think what you saw against Brisbane was a little bit of that slingshot footy, bit of dare. Blakey can use his foot skills through the middle of the ground. And Brisbane, it's a hard season because you're up one week, you're down the next. Brisbane, perfect victim of that. Beat Collingwood, they probably got up for that because they're like, hey, we need to beat them at the MCG. We haven't done that. And then it's hard to back that up. So I think what happened here was Sydney was like, hey, we're not playing finals, but we're going to try to play the game where it's like we take it on. And I genuinely think Sydney's going to climb next year because they've got players where if they play attacking football, they're dangerous. Very dangerous.
Like they're just going to bounce back to what they were in 2023. What year are we in? No, 2024.
So last year.
Yeah.
What's happened to you, Phoenix? What's going on? They've got Grundy playing amazing footy. I know he's concussed now, but it seems like I know everyone likes to write teams off very quickly, but I think they're still primed to have another crack.
Yeah, and they're perpetually contenders, like Geelong, they're always around the mark. They might have a down year here and there, but
never bottom out, do they?
Yeah, like we saw Geelong after they won their flag, dropped, and then came back prelim last year,
Collingwood,
2024.
very
Collingwood
similar.
the same. Sydney obviously big loss in the granny last year, down year, had a lot of people out expecting to bounce back.
Recruit a key forward, potentially Jamara, and back at it again.
What's the mail on that?
Kind of died down a bit, but there's interest there. So the Swans have made it quite clear that they're keen to bring in some forward power. I think Logan McDonald hasn't worked out. At the moment, he's injured. Obviously, Hayden McLean has those games. Joel Marty's had a few big games. But they probably need someone that's right in the sweet spot of their prime. Potentially Jamar, who might be still young, but even a player like Harry Mackay kind of take control of that ground. Especially the SCG. A player like Harry Mackay, get him one-on-one on the move could actually be really well.
Or both. Curnow potentially as well, right?
I think Carlton would rather keep Curnow.
Yeah.
And all of them, actually, to be fair. But I think if there's some movement...
He just wants to go somewhere where he can surf. That's what it is. He said, Sydney, Gold Coast. Oh, I'll go to Geelong too.
That's true.
All right. Well, that's on to watch. So, Port Dockers. I also didn't watch this game.
Well, this one was...
Any footy at all?
I do. Mostly the D's games.
The D's game, right, yeah.
Well, this was a good one. So obviously the week that Travis Boak announced his retirement at season's end.
Yeah, right.
So they got up for it. And we're just shy. The Port Adelaide Power at home, that is. Obviously, one of Ken Hinckley's final games. Not his last. Obviously, got 2 more to go and 1 more in the home crowd. But they got up for Buckley in terms of trying to obviously secure the win. But the Dockers are now 11 out of the last 12. And they sit 4th. And they seem to find ways to win in places that you would not think they can. So against Collingwood the other week, they were down. Same as Hawthorn, Gold Coast a few weeks ago. There was a bit of a scrap there. Even Carlton the other week, they were down by 4 or 5 goals early. And they somehow managed to win. So from a team, especially last year, the last month, they lost every game. They couldn't find a way to win. They've somehow changed that round, which has now put them in a position to win, or make, top 2, and potentially have 2 home finals.
Do you think that they are actually capable of being a top 4 team and going all the way? They
keep defying what people assume of them. So they'd lose to this game, they'd lose that game. Against Hawthorn, against Collingwood, even like against Port Adelaide, they probably thought, you know what, we might not get there in the end, and they somehow managed to do it.
I picked them as premiers at the start of the year.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I went hard on some hot takes on the first episode.
Yeah, their list profile would say they should be thereabouts, right? And then I think it comes down to how healthy is your list at this time of the year, and how many games have you got into them. Now they've got the Luke Jacksons, Caleb Sarong, Brayshaw. These guys are all top quality players, A graders, I would say. And if they're healthy, I think they could make a decent run. I just can't see them winning a grand final at the MCG.
No, it cannot. But like, I also can't see them beating, like a Geelong or someone important in a big final.
Yeah,
it's just I don't think they've proven it yet.
We're just haven't seen them trustworthy yet. So they did win that final against the Bulldogs a few years ago when they did actually come back, which was pretty ironic given how they're going at the moment. But against those top teams that are proven, maybe Brisbane, Geelong. I'm not going to rule out Collingwood yet, but they're around the mark still, technically. They've done it before. So can they go up against them is obviously the question.
Did you guys see Boakey and Fife exchange jumpers?
I loved that. Yeah. That was beautiful.
I feel like it's happened a few times where random Cam Guthrie and
Judd.
Chris
the
Judd.
same thing.
When Cam Guthrie was, I think, like a first year player.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Chris Judd's like, who the hell are you? I don't want your jumper. So this is much more fitting.
Yeah.
2 players that end of their careers.
Well, that's the thing. Can you say no? Like if somebody asks to swap jumpers, is it impolite?
The only saving grace about the Judd Guthrie swap was it was Geelong number 29.
Okay.
Yeah.
So some people have worn that before.
Yeah, right.
So you know what I mean. But obviously, Judd's like, who's this bloke?
Credit to Guthrie though. He actually came out and had a very good career. Still playing, right? Is he playing?
Yeah. So he's back to the VFL. He's coming, hopefully, potentially making a final stint. If he actually can fit in that team, because they've got well at the moment.
Guthrie to come back.
Guthrie, I think Mitch Duncan, Jake Cole, Jasny. I think they're all on managed minutes or coming through.
I would say Mitch Duncan's probably not going to be in that team. I think Mitch Duncan 4 years ago, yes.
Yeah. I mean,
not so much now.
He played his 300 or whatever this year, didn't he?
Yeah.
They got him to that point.
And then
the narrative.
Has he not been in the team since then?
But a bit of injury as well, and then management. They're
how
Geelong
also flying. Geelong. They've got a lot of these young players. Like I think Mitch Nevitt played on the weekend, looked really good, and they had this big-bodied midfielder, young kid that came through. He played his first game. I can't remember how long ago. It was like 3-4 weeks ago, and I'm like, where the hell are they finding these guys?
George Stevens. That's
it.
Another blonde guy. Probably loves surfing too.
Yeah.
Whatever. I think I said it last week, but Geelong just
big
there's got to be something going on under there.
Big cotton on guy.
That's it. Before we get to the Melbourne Doggies game, so I listened to this on a drive home from Wangaratta. I listened to it on ABC Grandstand. What is your preferred broadcast? Are you a Fox guy or a Seven guy, or do you have to look at both?
That's a good. I kind of like both. There's people that I like on both.
Yeah.
I prefer KO or Fox because you can kind of go back.
Yeah.
7 doesn't allow that 7+ or 7 play unless someone already knows. Maybe I'm just being a noob and I don't know how to go back on that. But I've kind of gone with the way that I've gone. KO's kind of good. Where sometimes the commentary's not the best. But
you prefer the 7 commentary?
Man, it's just whatever. Sometimes seriously, a lot of the times I'm putting some hectic music over the top of it, and then I'll add like a Dwayne Russell wowee or like something there just to amplify it. But sometimes I just watch the footy and I'm just like, all I hear is white noise.
What?
Yeah, literally, I don't. I'm just like, I just don't hear some of the commentary. Like, I'll be so into the game and picking up like certain clips and whatnot, and then and I'll be like, oh, they said something. So like everyone raves on about like Matt Hill or whoever it is, and I'm like, oh, fuck. I didn't know. Like,
Yeah.
he's the one.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't like noticing the commentators, like, and that's why I think I don't like Channel 7 because I just always notice BT.
Yeah.
And although I haven't watched any games on 7 this year at all, but yeah, that's why I choose KFS.
Yeah. I like BT. I think he's good. I think there's some times where, like anyone, he's a little bit burnt out. I reckon.
Yeah.
But I think BT at his best is pretty good.
Yeah. All right, Melbourne Western Bulldogs.
Well, yeah, I know.
What a game.
It's scary for the doggies. And one that they just had to win. But I think obviously the main story was obviously Simon Goodwin. We spoke about it last week. We did the emergency pod.
Yep.
When the news came through and Troy Chaplin took over for the final 3 weeks. So he's actually ruled himself out of the senior coaching
It's like,
race.
I do not want to do this.
Which is hopefully it's not a sign
Yeah.
of where the club actually sits. Probably not. But generally interim coaches do perform well first up. So there was a few coaches, like Lee Adams, I think won in his first game.
Yeah.
David Teague won in his first game back at Carlton
It's
a
a
few
trend,
years
isn't
ago.
it?
Yeah, so they generally perform well. I think maybe at this stage of the year with a new coach coming in, players, especially maybe on the fringe, want to perform and kind of secure their spot for next year or even showcase what they can do for the new incoming coach. So interesting that Troy Chaplin's already ruled himself out, despite saying...
I've never seen that.
Well,
I've
he
never
wants
seen
to
it.
coach.
He's
just not at Melbourne.
I just not at Melbourne.
That was a very interesting call.
That's super interesting. I
Yeah,
think.
no, I do. I respect that too because I didn't want him to. I think we talked about it last week when Goodwin got sacked. Is Troy Chaplin just going to be the next guy? And I don't think because he just seems like he's been there for so long, and I want the club to just completely revamp, especially in the football department.
Yeah.
You want to keep your assets like Gorn and whatnot, but in terms of coaching and game style, like I'm so happy to just wipe the slate clean and I wouldn't mind getting Dan Burgess back though.
Oh, yeah.
But
you know what you're doing though? You're doing the classic. Oh, you don't want us. We don't want you either. Get out of here, man! Like
I said it first.
I did say it first. I said it right as Goodwin got sacked.
interesting though, because like I was at the game. My partner goes to the Bulldogs, so I was at the
nice.
game, and I'm like, I'm there as a neutral supporter, and I'm like, this is weird. There's like usually when I go to games as a Collingwood supporter, it's like 50k people. It's like 30,000 people at the MCG.
Yeah.
Okay.
another game,
The amount of times I said that to my partner, I was like, "Oh, this is weird." It's like you've said that like 6 times. Like, stop it. But what I noticed was I went back and I was kind of like watching the game and I skipped through some moments. That last bounce, Cossie Pickett wasn't in. They had an opportunity to bring him in. That's such a weird coaching decision. I go and I'm like, big X factor player, clearance player. Why wouldn't you put him into the center bounce, especially after that goal's kicked? You got about 10 to 20 seconds. So that's a bizarre move.
Was he sitting deep forward?
No, he was sitting on the bench.
Oh, right. Yeah. Because I
there's-
know he was on the bench like late into the last quarter. I think with like 7 minutes to go, he was still on the bench. But
Are we breaking something? Is there an injury? Because like I wouldn't.
I don't know.
It'd have to be a diabolical coaching move where it's just like you've completely missed it here where you've gone.
Yeah. To be fair, we don't have a coach.
was gonna say, yeah,
Six.
that might be.
Maybe Chaplin's like, yeah, I fucked that up. So
Yeah.
I don't think I'm ready for it, guys.
Yeah. Well, that's what I want to know about caretaker coaches is like, do you just carry on with what the previous coach was doing, or do you just be like, yeah, just do whatever, guys? Like, I'm not going to be here next year.
I think
I don't want to be here.
The old play for the jumper.
Yeah.
Like instead of structures.
I think try to keep that stability and
Yeah.
consistency. I think that what players want. If you change too much, then it can throw the club into more
Yeah,
disarray.
but like that's what I mean. But tactically, like, what are you
Still Goody's
trying to
tactics.
get out of it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still Goody's tactics. Anyone that says otherwise, the way Melbourne played was still that was how Goody wanted
Yeah,
them
absolutely.
to play, and maybe there was a
Yeah.
little bit of freedom in the way Chaplin delivered.
I think it
100%.
felt better. Did feel like the players had a bit more. Like it felt like they were playing with a little bit more freedom, a bit of a weight off their shoulders. Where I think Chappie was just like, just go out and play. Like
Yeah.
I felt like that's what the message was. Maybe you said that, but yeah, I was really happy with the performance. But then it's annoying when that happens because it's like, well, where was that? Like I know we didn't win, but like where was that? Like when Goody's job was on the line.
yeah.
But ultimately I think it's worked out better for everyone. Like I want to see the doggies in the finals. And I just like being reminded that some of the players at Melbourne are actually kind of good. Like it's nice. It's nice. Gorney was unreal.
Again.
All our youngsters again nailed it. But I mean Clary had a pretty good game, I think.
Yeah.
But then all your sort of like Vineys and Petrarcas and stuff were like good enough. I think.
Fritter again.
Yeah.
he kicked a few
Fritter was
goals,
really good.
Kicked some there was a few pressure acts in there as well. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was the interesting part, the Dogs part of the equation. So they had to win just to remain in finals contention, but they almost coughed it up.
Yeah.
So
is that a perfect example of a team going down? So that first half was garbage. I was at that game and I thought second half was really great. But that first half, is that like a perfect example of a team going down to the level of a team that's playing like shit?
Yeah, Melbourne are really good at that.
But it's also interesting because the Dogs have had such a strong record against bottom 10 sides.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're only beating the Giants that are above them. Whereas they've just kind of trolled everyone else below them, which is why their percentage is so good.
What that says is that Melbourne is secretly a top 8 quality team.
Of course, yes. Whilst they sit 13th.
Ed Richards was unbelievable. Like seeing him live on the
so
ground, I
good.
can understand why he's champion data have got him ranked number 1.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable. Brownlow Smoky.
Yeah.
A couple of good Sam Darcy moments too. Like his whole entire game. I think our backline actually held up pretty well. Against guys like Norton, who ended up kicking 3 or 4 or
Just
5.
kick straight.
Yeah,
kick
he
straight,
kicked a lot.
that's it.
But Sam Darcy was held to 1 or 2, I think. But yeah,
But
so
he
he had
moments.
Yeah, he had
He
really
had a
good
gimme in the goal square early
Yeah.
when I think Disco turned it over. Riley, this is my brain with footy. With clips. West handballs it over and then he kicks it and then that was like a gimme. But he didn't have that great of a game apart from, like you said, the moments.
And that mark at the Nick Riewoldt mark at the end. But
I thought that. I think a lot of people did.
Yeah.
Esque. Obviously, maybe not.
similar,
yeah. I think on ABC, Libba said that straight away. He was like, yeah, that was pretty Nick Riewoldt-esque.
There's also the timing of it too.
Yeah.
I think it was so significant.
I think it just goes to show, like a player like that, when they're out of form playing forward, you know how they say don't ever put him in the ruck because you don't want to get him. He kind of looked like he got another burst of energy when he went into the ruck, and I think it helped them because I would argue that if he didn't go in, Melbourne probably win that game.
Yeah.
And he had a bit of fight in him.
Yeah.
As Stewie Drew would say.
Yeah.
Changes your mindset, definitely, like a role change for sure. Like when I played backline, I'm not getting a touch. I just go do a kick out. Get a cheap kick.
Cheesy ball.
Exactly.
Just feel a little better about yourself.
Oh, 100%. Make sure I step out of the square though, so it actually counts as a touch.
All right, some developing storylines. What do you got?
Sorry, on the sheet. So, this morning Collingwood announced Darcy Cameron signed a 3-year extension. So, tore up his initial contract, which had him locked away for next year. But he had Heaper West from home state WA. So, I think West Coast were coming quite hard. But he's locked away there. So, I think my understanding he was always keen to stay, but just working out the finer details, especially since he's kind of in contention for All-Australian squad. Maybe not there yet in terms of the Blazer.
It's a tough year for a ruckman.
But yeah, this could be his second year when he's part of that 44-man squad. And same as Scott Pennery. So now the record is confirmed that it's, on the agenda, the games record that is. So he's played 421. Boomer Harvey's is 432. So he's locked in for next year. So you'd think, with all things being equal, that Scotty Pennery will hit the games record at some point next year, maybe 2/3 of the way through. But again, Collingwood still have a heap to go through in terms of some of their veteran players. So Jamie Elliott, Brodie Myercheck, Jeremy Howe, who's concussed at the moment, but expected to stay. Then Hoskin Elliott, Tom Mitchell and Mason Cox also wants to keep an eye on. Another developing story is Canberra pushing for the AFL's 20th license. So a lot of being talked about Tassie. They're going to claim the 19th license. Obviously, everything being equal there too. But Canberra's putting their hand up saying, hey guys, we're here. Don't forget about us. So a lot of talk about NT and Darwin. Bunbury's hosted a few games as well in WA. Even South Australia putting their hand up potentially as an option. But Canberra, who also host the Giants there 3 games a year at Manuka Oval.
Interesting.
They're also saying, hey guys, we're a shot too. So if anything comes up in terms of a table sit, we're going to make sure we're there as well to throw a hat in the ring.
Jack Steele, Canberra boy.
Would you rather play in Tassie or Canberra?
Well, you could play in
As
both.
a player?
I don't know. It's hard, but I think there's probably an issue at the moment. My personal feeling is there's way too many teams, which is why you get footy fatigue, you get all these buys. I'm not sure what the rationale is. I think Tasmania deserved a team. I think they deserve a team, but there's just so many other teams.
There's too many teams.
Yeah, I don't want to say a team doesn't deserve to exist, but I'm saying it's just.
But if you had to cut a team to fit Canberra,
I just think there's just so much, and it's
Yeah.
such a small market. It's not like the NBA here. We're not in America.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. They're talking about conferences potentially. If we get 20 teams, and so I'm like, I'd rather reduce the amount of teams. But how do you do it?
How do you do it?
Don't know the solution there.
Yeah.
And then obviously back to the Goody point. So Bucks has probably officially put up his hand for the job. Obviously, there's a lot to work through, but Adam Simpson pulled out. Longmire doesn't look like it.
No, Adam Simpson.
Yeah, so he's not ready yet, which
He's done a chappy.
Well, he's only
You
been out
didn't
for-
want him anyway now.
No,
apparently.
never wanted him. Never
Yeah,
wanted
now
him.
you're like, oh, Simo
Premiership
didn't want
coach.
us? Nah.
Yeah, but he's only been out for just over 12 months of the game.
Yeah.
As in Adam Simpson, that is. Longmire, obviously at the Swans last year, probably still there at the moment in a different role. And Hinkley and James Hurd as well, probably out of the race. So leaves Buckley
Bucks on his own.
as he's on his own. He's usually pretty coy about these things in all these interviews, which makes sense. Obviously, he's not going to go.
I think he really does want to coach as well. That he's probably itching after seeing Collingwood do so well. And he left. I think he still left. He beat the D's, funnily enough, in his last game. Sorry, I have to bring that up.
SCG too.
Yeah, SCG, random as, but it was a Queen's birthday, SCG, big freeze game. I remember that pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
You guys were heavy favourites, weren't you?
I think you won the flag that year.
Yeah.
Somehow Bucks beat you.
Yeah.
I just realised I'm sitting in between two Collingwoods.
Oh, yeah, that's good. There you go.
Really? Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
I was wondering why the chemistry was so good there.
Yeah, I mean, I like out of all the. So I think I said this last week. Out of all the old guard that are put up, the ones that are out of a job at the moment. So yeah, your Hinkleys, your Longmires, your Simpsons, your Buckleys. Bucks is the one that appeals to me the most, just because he has had that time away. I think that's an advantage, rather than someone like Longmire who he did his last game that he coached was a grand final, but I just like the idea of Bucks. Like I like the emotional side of it too. Like he grew up supporting the D's and whatnot. The story does appeal to me. Whether or not he can actually just step back in to the coach, it's not like he's been out of footy. Like he's been probably the best analyst since he's stopped coaching. But yeah, for me it's Bucks. But I still would rather find the next, Adam Kingsley, Craig McRae, the untested assistant.
Because there's so many out there. I think we put so much emphasis on like a coach that's there with like a big name like Bucks.
Yeah.
But I think what Melbourne probably need is like a players coach. I know everyone says that Goody had a good relationship with the players, but there was times where it's like, tested with players wanting trades out. And I think Buckley, towards the end of his tenure at the Collingwood, he was starting to get that reputation.
Yeah.
That could be great for Melbourne. But in terms of game style, how do you guys feel about Bucks? It's very similar to Goodwin. Very defensive.
Yeah.
Well,
contest defense.
Yeah, I can't imagine that Bucks would come back in and set us up like Collingwood in 2018, 2019 or whatever. He's like, if you listen to him on SEN, I listen to him on SEN with Jared Waitley a lot. Seems like he keeps up to date with what the trends are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do not want to go back to a contest and defense thing. Like that's the whole reason that we're in this mess. But
it's interesting because he was a star midfielder, Goodwin star midfielder. And what was the emphasis? Michael Voss, star midfielder. What's their emphasis? Contest. So then you look at coaches like Craig McRae, forward. He likes to kick goals. What is Collingwood trying to emulate? Kicking goals. So it's
keep the ball alive as much as possible.
Just generally how he looks. But as you said, he does need to pivot into what the game is demanding nowadays. Yeah. And I think he will. I think he's quite cluey, and he has posed as quite a smart brain.
Locking it in now. So Buckley to coach Melbourne. Looks like it, hey, because everyone else is pulling out.
Including Chaplin.
Yeah. Well, I would rather. Yeah, I want someone that wants to be there.
First I've ever heard of someone who's like a caretaker coach being like, I don't want to. I don't fuck with this.
Well, in the first week, I think, because there was who was it? That took over for Adam Simpson.
Oh, Schofield.
Jared Schofield.
Yeah, Jared Schofield.
Yeah,
was he up for the job? I feel like I remember.
He didn't pull out. He was there for a while, and then I think maybe later, but probably an indication. Hey, mate, we're probably not going to go with you.
Yeah,
safe base here.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's look ahead to next round.
Yeah. So big week, round 23. So a few big games, a few to start off that are awful. But there is a doubleheader on Friday night, which is Fremantle, Dockers and Brisbane. So this will be telling. It's in Optus Stadium, in Perth. So this will be telling in terms of where both clubs finish. So Lions, obviously off that close loss. Dockers, as we mentioned earlier, 11 out of the last 12 that they've won. So in ripping form, playing really well at home as well. But it's a flip of the coin with this one. I think Brisbane travel relatively well, but Fremantle are just flying.
The Lockie Neal Cup. Jeez, wouldn't they want him out there at the moment?
God.
Yeah, so interesting, right? So Fremantle lose, their position is it's going to be tested because it's going to go down to that Dogs game.
Yeah.
So if Brisbane lose, it's going to go down to the Hawthorn game. They could literally miss finals.
Yeah. So yeah, both have a very difficult fortnight ahead. Who would you tip?
Out of Dockers and Brizzy
in Perth, which could play a big factor.
I'm going to say Dockers, just because I called them as my premiers at the start of the year, and now I've bought into that storyline. Dockers,
So-
and on form too. Like Brizzy, give or take, like they'll probably sneak into top 4 by the end of the year, and then just knocking out. But I think Dockers at home. I think they've got the momentum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, interesting.
Yeah, I think Dockers have shown that they can match it. I think I saw that Collingwood game, and I think when they're up and about in front of a home crowd, I think they'll be good. I think the Brizzy beatdown started against the Swans, and I think they're going to struggle against Fremantle. I think not having Lachie Neale is massive because players like McCluggage benefit from Lachie Neale getting in and under. I know McCluggage wins his own ball, but it's just the chemistry in that midfield. It looks a little different. You still got the players like Ashcroft and stuff, but they're going to have to work overtime to get past this Fremantle midfield.
Yeah. So also just a note, so Thursday night footy, not on this week.
Yeah.
So we do get a breather. We get the original, just a weekend, Friday to Sunday.
That's huge.
Then Saturday Arvo, Expansion Cup, Suns and Giants, which again will
Massive
have
game.
massive ramifications.
Is that night? Night game?
No, this is early. Well, first game Saturday afternoon. So I think 1:20 at People First in Queensland. So Giants got a hold of them early in the year, but they've played some pretty close games lately, given the fact that the Suns are finally joining the party in terms of being half decent. But yeah, I mean, the Giants have won the last 5 against them. They've held a 15-5 record since 2012.
Interesting, yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting game.
Nah, I'm all on board for the Suns train. I really want the Suns to play finals, which I think they've pretty much locked in.
Only Adelaide technically have officially locked in a spot.
Yeah,
Might I add?
that's crazy.
What a year. What a season, right? Back to the Suns and GWS. I think Suns have shown lapses, even though they're winning games. Like Collingwood, when they won 4 weeks ago, they had a lead, they had momentum, and they let Collingwood back into the game. Carlton, who had basically a VFL side running around, they made Carlton look competitive. There's patches in games where I go to Gold Coast, I'm like, the maturity gets questioned, and every time they cut the dimmer in the box, and he just looks like an angry dad.
Yeah.
And I think
he literally started the year with being like, we need to grow up. Like,
yeah,
he is literally an angry dad.
I think the Giants pulled this off because I think even though they lost the Bulldogs, I think it was just purely because they used all their energy to get rid of, catch up against the Swans. I think it was just a one-off outlier. They were stuffed. And I think they're back. They needed that game against North Melbourne to kind of just get themselves together. I know they only won by less than 40 points or a small margin. I think this game, they're going to smack them. I reckon Gold Coast might get a reality check here.
Yeah.
Because that could put... Yeah, I mean, the Suns do have that game in hand. So, again, the ladder's a bit distorted, but they've got that game in hand.
They'll feel comfortable because GWS, I think, this is a huge game. We need to win this. And I think they've got enough experienced players, whereas Suns... I think there's still lapses. I think there's still players coming in and out playing, only their first few games. Like Alex Davies. He's playing really well, but they're just still not set in my mind.
They're not settled.
Yeah. Tuke Miller's just come back from hamstring. Played really well on the weekend. Yeah. But I feel like at this time of the year, you need to be settled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there's a few dead rubber games. Obviously, Carlton and Port. Last Ken Hinkley game in Melbourne, which is a big deal. He's been around for a while. Hawthorn, Melbourne. So you think Hawthorn continue rising up the ladder. Saturday night, though, Adelaide Oval. Ladder leaders versus Collingwood. So the Crows and the Pies. Now, this game probably 3 weeks ago was set to be quite a big game. It still is, obviously. But I think Adelaide, especially the last 6 to 8 weeks, have really shown their true colours, whereas the Pies maybe have shown theirs in terms of just being battled. And they've slipped to third and potentially could have been fourth as well.
This is still a massive game. This is the not on free-to-air TV
Saturday,
game.
never free to air.
Yeah, exactly.
So Saturday night, just on,
Maybe this sparks something in Dan Houston being back at Adelaide Oval, and he goes...
I was thinking that, actually.
I reckon he's carrying... I have a sneaky feeling he might be carrying an injury. It's too much of a drop-off. I saw his efforts. They showed it on first crack, and then it's like a player of that quality doesn't just go out there and go, I'm just a bit tired, I'm lazy. They prepare themselves really well, and he's got to be carrying an injury.
Yeah, I think so. And I think as well, he's just like Lachie Schultz. Now, again, different player, definitely different, coming from different system, but it took him more than 12 months to get a hold of what the Pies were trying to get him to do.
Yeah.
So he was a bit quieter last year in terms of coming across from Freo. So Dan Houston adjusting to a new system, new club. I know he's from Melbourne, but it does take time. So although he's an All-Australian, 2-time All-Australian, you just got to give him a break. But yeah, he doesn't seem like what we know him to be.
It'd be interesting to see. I think what Fly is doing with him in goes, his weapons, his skill set is his kick and his ability to break the game open with his kick. He goes, even if I get like a 60% Dan Houston, he can win me a game. And I'm still going to go by that. But at the moment, we're just seeing a lot of the stuff that he isn't doing, which is very obvious as a Collingwood supporter. I think he probably feels that if we go into a final series, Dan Houston with this upside is someone that I want to go in with. So I'm hoping that he gets that form back in and just does a few good things. Doesn't have to have 30 possessions, 20 possessions, sets up a few big goals, big efforts.
If he gets rested for the Melbourne game in a couple of weeks, then we find out that he is injured. But
you think so? I think
Collingwood probably still have to win. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Really?
I think he'll play.
By that point?
Yeah.
Oh, if they
we're still vying for top, so we're third.
Yeah.
So we're still top
Foot
two.
injuries are quite interesting. So like it might be an injury where it's like he has to just play. There's no point in resting.
Yeah.
He has to just keep playing. And then at the end of the year, we hear that he's got surgery on something. It's like it's not a manageable one. It's just like one that he just plays through. And then it's like you can only deal with it until you completely stop.
Yeah. I'll have time to stop.
Yeah.
But I mean, Josh Dacos has been playing as well, so he's arguably in contention for All-Australian halfback, maybe. There's probably a few ahead of him, I think, anyway. But Houston was that guy at Port Adelaide, whereas they've got Josh playing that role, essentially. And then if Josh is not there, they put Nick there, especially the last month or so.
I think Nick moving back is the move, I reckon. That's what's going to happen. Speed on the ball, what Collingwood lack at the moment, so...
Now,
so we're highlighting Kangaroos and Tigers?
Yeah. Well, just an interesting one with obviously the first round pick. So the Roos have an opportunity to jump Richmond and essentially give Richmond a lesser pick. Now, it's still going to be top 3 as it stands, obviously barring, the academy and the father-son selections that are bound to come early. But just thought it's a nice one that people watching. And these two teams usually just beat up on each other. It was a really close game early in the year. But also I think just that in the background, that first round pick that North sold to Richmond last year, which gifted them another top 5 pick this year.
Yeah.
For Matt Whitlock.
I think they rated Whitlock very highly. I think everyone looks at it and goes, oh, it's friggin' stupid. But obviously they've got their thoughts on Whitlock, who's a good key position player or prospect. But it was interesting because I think Willem Dersma, the other Dersma that's coming out, they could have teamed him up with his brother. If they would have known top 5, would have been definitely a top 5 pick, unless North thought they were going to be world beaters.
Yeah.
There's some murmurs around that Zane's not too happy with North. And North don't need young players leaving right now.
No. Just on that, Willem Dersma is at the top of the Craft of the Draft power rankings for this month.
Interesting.
So he'll be around the mark there. So you'd think North could have potentially
been in play, but now it'd be interesting. You have, 3 or 4 Dersmas? Three Dersmas.
3 boys.
3 boys. And you've got Yasmin.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the Sunday, you've got the Swans and Cats SCG. So it'll actually be a closer game than people think. I think Sydney have shown they've got a bit of fight left in them despite the season being largely over for the majority of the year. And the Dogs host the Eagles, which they don't necessarily need percentage, but they just have to get the win to keep them in contention.
The Eagles could surprise a few. I know the Eagles, the Dogs have this knack of just dropping games just where they shouldn't drop games. And I think, I'm not saying they'll lose. They've got too much star power to lose this. But it'll be closer than you think, I think.
I think West Coast match up badly with the Western Bulldogs at the moment. But yeah, I mean, they nearly beat Adelaide this week. So I feel like every game at this point, you need the ladder predictor right after the game. Yeah. Because I'm bad at math and I don't know what is happening with the top 8 and like all the consequences of each result. But it's crazy. I feel like we say this every year though, like with how equal the competition is. But I feel like last year it was similar to this, right? Like everything was just coming down to the wire.
Probably a few more teams in contention.
Yeah, I think this year more so than anything because we've had Collingwood that just completely just dropped off.
Yeah.
Dogs, please don't let us down in terms of content. We want this to go to the last Sunday. That's where it's going to be. If the Dogs lose to the Eagles, it's just going to suck. That last round's going to be like, we're just kind of seeing who's going to be in top 4 and everything like that. We want the Carlton Collingwood 2022 last round feels to it.
Yeah.
That was incredible. Not great for a Carlton supporter. I was actually doing content at the ground and I remember seeing grown men punch bins like so hard. I was like, whoa, this is crazy.
It's always Carlton supporters though too.
I feel for them though. I think it's like they wear their heart on their sleeves. Like it's easy for me to be like Collingwood supporter. Carlton sucks shit. But
As a fellow content guy, what do you get the most engagement from, and do you see differences in the different fan bases and how they react to stuff, or do you think it all just sort of blends together because they're
no different? Like Carlton definitely, but I also go by this. I want to do it where I'm like not putting the heels into Carlton, but also understanding I'm riding the wave with their supporters. The best comment that you can get as a creator is, "I'm a supporter and I love this." Like even when you're like kind of like bagging them, it's like, "No, I'm a supporter and this is 100% us." Yeah, that's the best because you're kind of hitting the sentiment. You're like, "This is it." So
you understand their club
exactly. And now Carlton will come up one day soon. Who knows? There's going to be a time where their supporters, it's all emotion. And I want to be able to ride that wave with them. Same with Collingwood when they go, when Collingwood are playing like shit. It's like, well, you have to call a spade, right? And then everyone wants to laugh at Collingwood. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's the great game we have, and you got to ride the waves.
No, deep supporter. The whole year, I've just been making content about how Melbourne are going, which has not been good.
They're savage, man. They are savage. Yeah. I feel like
we're sad all the time.
There's some burner accounts that get into my profile, and like I made something about Stephen May getting suspended and like a character reference, and I just like left my phone and came back, and it's like the same guy off with like 2 followers had like, I'm like, why has this post got 60 comments? It was like. And it's just like him having a conversation with himself. And I'm like, and then liking his own comments. And I'm like, I've never had that from any other supporter.
All right, I'll delete that account. All right, we'll wrap it up there. This has been this is going to be a 2-parter, I think.
Sorry about that, guys.
So, no, it's been great. Like, this has been amazing. Yeah. Thank you, Cheets, for coming on. So where can the people find you? I mean, your account's bigger than ours, but what do you got in the works?
So Type Media, why am I looking there? So Type Media, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Reddit, Big Footy. Forget the other 2. But like, we're trying to just grow a bit of a following on YouTube. We've got a few things in the works. Hopefully with the AFL, fingers and toes crossed. Trying to get ourselves out there. Like I said, put the face to the brand. And a big one is like, it's a one-man operation. I've got a few mates that help out. A lot of people don't understand. They're like, "Oh, I love these guys." I'm like, man, it's just one dude.
It's one dude.
I'm fucking tired. I do this because I love it. But I appreciate all the kind messages and comments.
Yeah,
just
man.
give us a follow and
all this stuff is fantastic. Everybody that I talk about in AFL media that knows your account absolutely loves it. So
awesome,
keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
We're definitely going to have you back on the channel at some point.
Yeah, awesome, man.
We'll collab on some stuff and see you next week.